Environment Davidson.
Does he think it's fair to the other farmers and water users in this catchment that his minister is risking the ecological health of the catchment by pressuring councils to grant consents for particular individuals?
No, it's entirely appropriate for the Minister to have...
The Honourable Shane Jones.
So I invite you to study carefully the content of that question.
Yes, I was about to intervene on that. Member can word the question in a different way, but do not put an allegation in a question.
Does he think it's fair to the other farmers and water users in this catchment that his minister may be risking the ecological health of the catchment by pressuring councils to grant consents for particular individuals?
No, you can't assert that either. You can ask a question that don't have inferences in it or allegations.
Does he think it's fair to the other farmers and water users in this catchment the way that his minister has been using her power to privilege...
No, you can't say that. Sorry, that's the end of the supplementaries on that question. So we'll go to the point of order, the right on Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, I want a supplementary question.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Of the Prime Minister, going from the questioner's original draft of the primary question, would he have confidence if any minister couldn't spell ministers properly?
Okay, point made.
Did the Prime Minister give agricultural polluters a free ride instead of requiring them to do their fair share of emissions reductions, given that this means that households and businesses will have to shoulder more of the emissions reduction, increasing the cost of living for everyday New Zealanders?
No, our farmers are the world's most productive, best and most carbon efficient farmers in the world, and we're proud of them.
Does the Prime Minister understand that weakening methane targets actually harms farmers' livelihoods and increases their long-term cost of living, as farmers are at the front line of climate-driven extreme weather events that threaten global food production and raise insurance premiums?
Well, I tell you, this government is not going to shut down Kiwi farms and send that production to less carbon efficient places, less productive places, and make global greenhouse gas emissions worse. As part of a Labour Greens government who wanted to shut down New Zealand farms and send production overseas, why don't you come on board and actually support that policy too? It's going to be very interesting to see what the Labour Party says about that.
Is the Prime Minister governing New Zealand in the interests of corporate lobbyists or in the interests of everyday New Zealanders? And if the latter, can he explain why corporate agriculture lobby groups had early access to information enabling...
A point of order, the Honourable Winston Peters. Right on.
Mr. Speaker, that member's been around here long enough to understand that you're allowed to ask one question at a time, not two. She's been around here far too long not to have learnt that, surely, and she should have been stopped.
Well, the rules are that while the question might have several legs in it, the person answering that question only has to address one.
Answer to the first leg, no.
Okay. Mark Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister think that farmers are corporate lobbyists?
No, I think farmers should be deeply valued and not treated like villains as they were under a Labour Greens government.
Why is his Minister for Treaty of Waitangi negotiations pushing a bill through this House today that the Waitangi Tribunal has described as a, quote, gross breach of Te Tiriti, which would, quote, significantly endanger the Māori-Crown relationship.
All we're doing, we disagree with that. We're actually just putting it back to what was Parliament originally intended.
Is he comfortable with the fact that some are describing his government's changes to the Marine and Coastal Area Act as, quote, the biggest raupatu that Te Ao Māori have faced, end quote, due to these changes making it significantly harder for iwi, hapu and whānau to have their customary rights to the takutai moana recognised?
Point of order, the Honourable Chris Bishop.
Mr Speaker, I think if a member's going to quote something, she's got to quote a source. It's not legitimate, surely, to just say some people have described it as. I mean, literally, it could be anyone. There needs to be some, at least, sourcing for the quote that she's quoting from.
I think that's for primary questions. The supplementary questions are not quite so rigorously enforced, but it certainly doesn't do the question any credit by just expressing it in such a general terms. If there is someone to be quoted, then quote them. We're still on over here.
I will repeat that question in light of the conversation, Mr Speaker. Is he comfortable with the fact that Māori leaders are describing his government's changes to the Marine and Coastal Area Act as, quote, the biggest raupatu that Te Ao Māori have faced, end quote, due to these changes making it significantly harder for iwi, hapu and whānau to have their customary rights to takutai moana recognised?
Look, I think we've traversed this many times before. The Court of Appeal lowered the threshold. We had a high threshold under the legislation. We're just returning it to what Parliament intended.
Does the Prime Minister understand that Māori exercise kaitiakitanga and protection for the benefit of all of us here in Aotearoa? For example, when they veto applications for private companies to mine in our precious moana, and that by removing recognition of customary rights in the takutai moana, his government has taken this away.
The member may disagree, but I'm just saying to the member, our position's very clear. As a government, we're just returning what was a lowered threshold under the courts. We're returning it back to what Parliament intended.